Hi there. Well, as promised, like last week, I promised you a wonderful show, and we're the guests today at Gary Garth's landscaping business. Thank you for having us again, Gary.
Yeah, you're welcome.
The theme is hostas, a plant that is really coming into fashion, I think.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. There's every Hosta Society in America just experienced a tremendous amount of growth last year from increase in membership and interest. So yeah, and also the nurseries in Iowa. If you go to the conventions, they say that the sales are very much on the increase. So
yeah, I don't know what happened, because I quite honestly have to tell you, I never liked hostas before. And now if you come into my garden, there are hostas everywhere, but my garden changed. I have more shady areas, and I needed something attractive to fill those shady areas and also have different levels of height. And hostas, I think, are great for that.
yeah, if you want to talk about a plant that will grow in a closet, that's hostas. They'll grow in the deepest of shade. They'll grow in the driest of deep shades or wet. They aren't particular that way. And there's so much variation because of all the hybridization that's going on that you can get any leaf color or variations that you're looking for. And we have hostas in this garden that are only 8 inches high or less, and I have some that eventually are going to be as tall as we are.
Oh, so, wonderful.
And I'll show you that one because I'm particularly proud of a couple of the big ones. I personally love the bigger the hosta is, the better I like it. So,
but you have to have it in the perfect spot, though.
Yeah.
And so you can help us kind of or show us where they would look really good.
Okay.
So when we come back, let's look at some of the big ones, okay?
Okay.
Well, Gary, I just can't believe the size of these plants. I really can, if you can see them.
Yeah, these are some of the bigger types that we have. These hostas come from what is called the Sieboldiana family, which means nothing. It's a Latin term, except for that there are different species of hostas, and the Sieboldiana types tend to be big leaves, big clumps, and there's some particular favorites of mine right along here that I wanted to show you. This is just called the regular blue giant. It's got the blue leaf with the really heavily textured. It's got substance because the leaf is it's got some variation in the actual surface of the leaf, and texture in that it also cups. Those are two things that are very important to hosta judges when they're looking at the distinction between this and something else. So this is a blue giant. Then there's another one right next to it here, which is called blue umbrellas, which is not, as you can see, quite as blue as the blue giant.
Yeah.
But it does have a blue cast to it, and even more cupping, even more heavily textured than this one. So these plants are something that they look big, in the landscape. And if you are on a little hill, a little berm like this right here, they can provide a lot of cover. And they're actually pretty slow to expand, so they don't get out of hand on you.
Okay.
These have been here 8 years, and they're just starting to touch each other.
Yeah.
They were originally planted about 3 or 4 feet apart. So.
Okay. Beautiful, especially the blue one. The leaves almost look like quilting.
Yeah.
Very nice, very nice. And you have some bushes and some trees in the background. So I like the variation of color that you have in there. Very nice. Since we're talking about hosta societies, I think you need to tell us that you have a very important job with one of the hosta societies here in Iowa. And I wonder if you could tell us a little bit about it. I know you're a president of one of the societies.
Yeah, there are 3 Hosta societies in Iowa, and the Harshbarger Hosta Society, which is based in Cedar Rapids, Iowa City. I'm currently the president on a 2-year term right now for that society, and I have a great supporting cast of vice president and stuff. Thank God. But we meet 3 times a year in Iowa City. There's a spring meeting and a fall meeting, and And we also have a summer tour. This year there's going to be a tour of some gardens around the Iowa City area
Oh,
on
wonderful.
the July 4th weekend.
Oh, great.
And it's an auto tour. They have a picnic lunch. Somebody graciously has their home opened up.
Uh-huh.
I've been on a number of these tours, and you know, they're just, you meet the nicest people.
Gardeners are
they're
just
great.
wonderful,
Yeah,
don't
they
you
are.
think?
You know, and nature is, you know, therapeutic. Gardening is very therapeutic,
Yes.
and people tend to be, you know, relaxed, and you know, they enjoy the outdoors, and that's great. So.
Yeah, I tell you, something happens to someone when you start digging and playing with dirt. It's just very calming,
Yeah,
for me
yeah,
anyway.
Yeah.
So,
In our society, I mean, we're looking for new members. Anybody? There are people in the. They were at the last meeting that they have 3 hostas in their
Okay.
yard, but they're looking for more.
yeah,
And then there's you know, there are hosta judges there, national judges there that have 500 or 600 varieties in their yard. And they're great people to talk to because you get to see something you wouldn't normally see.
right,
So,
right.
So it's open to everybody, and we really have a lot of fun.
Good,
If anybody wants any information about that, they're welcome to call me. And,
All right.
You know.
Yeah, it's 472-7129,
Yeah,
right?
you got it. Yeah.
And
That's
and
right.
you probably won't get Gary because he's very busy, but you can talk to his lovely machine.
Yeah, we just got through May. You know, working dawn to dark.
Yeah.
But,
So Gary, tell me a little bit. Where did hostas originate? What country? Is this a native plant, or do you know?
it's not native to America. They are native to Europe and Japan. A lot of the Japanese hostas are very much diminutive. You know, there are a lot of edging types, or and with a couple of species. The ones that come from Europe tend to be the bigger types. In Japan, they just grow out in the wild. You know, there are people in the United States that frequently go there, and they look for new species.
Okay.
You know,
Neat.
or just different forms, and
Yeah.
they'll be walking out on the hillsides. They report, and they come upon, you know, a place where you might see some wildflowers in the Rockies. You just see hostas growing. You know,
Neat.
and the Japanese use them, you know, in preparing and serving food. You know,
Yes.
it's a very different thing over there in Japan with them, but a lot of very beautiful plants. I have some Japanese ones over here we can show you. You'll notice that they're quite a bit smaller than
Yeah.
these.
Oh, this is
But,
fantastic.
you know, there's about a dozen species of hostas that are the important families in the sense that they're responsible for 90% of the hybrids that exist. You know, and you know, those are available right here in town.
Yeah.
You know, basically speaking. And then there's a lot, but there's a lot of variation. You know, hostas are, are great because not only do they hybridize freely, you know, they cross and they just do all these things, but they also like to be disturbed. There are some plants that if you disturb them, you can kill them. You know, or they just don't like that. Hostas are not that way. They don't mind their roots being disturbed. You can move them anytime. And there are certain hostas that if you damage them at the crown, it will produce more eyes than if you didn't.
Isn't
You know,
this
like
something?
stepping on the plant would actually cause you to have more of that plant next year.
Yeah.
I don't suggest that anybody step on any hostas, but they literally take to this being moved and having that. There's a specific technique of cutting the eyes that you can use to increase the eyes.
Okay.
You know, and hostas have eyes just like peonies. They have this, you know, center growing point in the early spring, so which is actually very beautiful in and of itself.
So a perfect plant for a gardener that starts out. I mean,
Yeah,
you will have
absolutely.
success.
Yeah.
So start out with hostas and get advice from your local landscaper. I think it's important when one starts out to just kind of make a plan and see. Although with hostas you can move them.
Planning is definitely the best part of that, you know, the whole process. I think anybody that visits a professional nursery, they're getting the benefit of the years of experience that people have there. So, and we feel like our best service is, you know, the planning that we do ahead of time for people. So,
Right. And then you also know what will grow here or not. That always was so important to me because you've been in the business for such a long time, and you know what will do well and what will absolutely not do well. So can we go around a little bit
let's take a
and
look
show
at
us
more of
some
these guys,
varieties? Okay, thank you. This is the start of our tour. You have quite a variety right here. If you can explain a little bit what they are,
Yeah,
if you would, please.
this is a good example of some of the variations that you can have in this plant family. You see a number of different heights and a number of different leaf colorings here and textures. Just to point out what these plants are, this big guy in the background is Honeybells. That's noted for being, very fragrant, having a very fragrant blossom. And then right in front of that here is Birchwood Parky's Gold. This is a incredibly prolific, yellow-leaved hosta.
Yeah, beautiful.
And it has, it produces many, many eyes. Grows much faster than some of these other ones. Makes a nice big round clump there. I don't know if there's any limit to that clump. It's 3 foot across already. Right behind this, I don't know if you can see that. That's called Ventricosa Aureomarginata. Now that's has a very much a different type of yellow on every leaf. Each one of those leaves has a particular type of striation to it, which I find to be, extremely exciting. That plant, I've never seen a bad one of those. That's one of my favorites.
Yeah. It's almost heart-shaped, Gary, isn't it?
Yeah.
More than the others.
Yeah, no, we have a heart leaf over here and stuff, but they can get to where they're almost literally heart-shaped.
Neat.
And green Piecrust, I got this one because of this. It is eventually supposed to be built high.
Okay.
Just be a nice big guy.
Yeah.
A couple right in front here, Gloriosa, which has the larger
Oh, I
leaf.
like that.
And then this is called Alan P. McConnell.
Yeah.
Where you have just that very touch of white right on the
it's
lip.
very elegant looking, don't you think?
And that's such a deep green that I think most people that walk through my yard, they want to know if they can have a piece of that, Gloriosa there.
Yeah.
That's a very striking plant. So all these things are possible just by the hybridizing efforts of just gardeners like you and me. Most of the people that produce these plants just went out and crossed them themselves, and although there are some big giant names in the industry, certainly.
Well, sure.
There are over 900 registered hostas now, so those weren't all produced by the big guns. There's a lot of people out there having fun and just crossing them, and I can point out some plants that are crosses.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah.
We are going to maybe get to name them someday.
Good.
So.
Oh, that'd be nice to have a girl's hosta or something. Or the name of your children or something. Yeah. Some French hosta. I have to tell you, Gary, that's back there. If we can swing around a little bit, that's one of my favorite because of the texture. I like to put that in my flower beds because it's all twisted, and again every leaf looks different.
Yeah, this is now this plant. This is Undulata univittata. It's sort of one of those plants that's all over. If you see that, you'll see it around town a lot, across the country a lot. But if you'll notice something about this plant, the petiole of the leaf has the white in it as well as the green, just like the leaf. That is very important to hybridizers because they see that and they go, oh, that's even more variation that's introduced in that plant. So this particular plant, although there's a gazillion of them around, is responsible for all these incredible plants that are, hybrids. They take the seed from this, and that streaking comes through into the crosses.
Yeah. So you can say this is the mother plant of them all.
Oh, yeah. This Undulata family is responsible for a lot of these plants. They just cross and back cross, and they come up with these incredible looking plants, and that's one of them. I've got another plant over here called William Lockman that is like that. You'll see the streaking goes right down the petiole. Well, I'll tell you, everybody that hybridizes has those plants in their yard as stock plants, and they're using that seed, to cross. So
yeah.
So we can go through and take a look at some more of these.
Yes,
too.
Please. Well, I have to say you're really fashionable because, this is the year of the lime green and the orange and you name it in there. He has it.
Yeah. Yeah, this particular hosta that Karin's pointing to is, this is called Gold Standard. It has this. At the first part of the season, it's very bright, and then it slowly fades over the season till, or real in late fall, it's almost green.
Really?
Yeah, so there's a little variation there, but this is won awards, and it's definitely on the top 10 list on, you know, when they do popularity polls. You know, this is
Interesting.
that, and this one right next to it, which is called
Can you
Aurora Borealis,
Uh-huh.
which it has a gorgeous name. This is another one of those popular ones. This plant eventually, again, will be probably about 2 feet high, and it'll have, you know, it'll be about twice as big around as that. But that variation with the blue and the
I
lime
like
green
that.
is nice.
And then back there again, it's almost like a reversed.
Yeah, this is a reverse. This is called jambalaya.
Uh-huh.
You know, it's I just like it because it brightens up this corner right here. You know. And then we have Blue Angel back here, which you can see why I like that. It has huge leaves. Can you see that okay?
Yeah, it's you know, Gary, it's soft looking
Yeah.
because
yeah.
of the lines. Again, a little
Sort of
quilting
blocks
in
in
there. Neat. What about this little one here? I love that. Small leaves.
Yeah, this is Alan P. McConnell. We saw that on the other bed.
Yes.
There. It was just that light, nice, neat little, you know, white edge to it there.
It's just fantastic. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in here of different varieties, and it just makes this little spot. It just makes it light and cheery and bright.
Yeah, you know, there's so much variation there that you can create a mood just by, you know, using these different plants and combinations. I have experiments like that all over the yard where we're trying to see what works together and doesn't. I just moved a few the other day that didn't work, you know, like that, so we changed them.
Yeah.
And,
since we're here, Gary, you were saying it's an easy plant to plant and to move and divide, but any good advice for the novice gardener?
Yeah, you know, hostas are, they are kind of interesting in that they respond to good soils, but they don't respond to fertilizer. You know, some plants, like if you plant a rose and you put it in good soil and you fertilize it, it's a 1-to-1 relationship. Fertilizer, rose, works. You know, hostas like organic matter. You could plant them in almost pure peat and they would do just fine.
Okay.
You know, so a very high organic matter soil, you know, composted manure, those kinds of things, very good. Fertilizer, no.
Okay.
You know, fertilizer will actually cause you some problems. So, you know, you would never put a granular fertilizer on them. You don't, you know, we have never fertilized any of these plants.
Okay, but you work compost into the ground before you plant them?
Yeah, you know, the most of these plants have a large hole that's been dug, and they, you know, we mix together 50% sandy soil and 50% composted manure.
So if you have a real in areas, and you know that areas in Fairfield have a lot of clay, so you really want to work on that.
Yeah, now I have hostas that will grow in clay in the sun out here. You know, we can do that, but it's better if you can, you know, they're going to grow faster if you have a better soil.
So work peat in and
peat moss
compost.
is good. Sand, you know, something to get some air in the soil.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, this is lovely. So let's take a little bit more of a walk and see what you can show us.
Okay, well, if we spin around here, there's a couple here that are great. This first one right here is Mountain Snow.
Neat.
You know, that light green with the white there is pretty unique. This is, again, is more like a Sieboldiana type where it has the bigger leaves, but that's a new introduction that is not around too much. There's, I'll show you one of my personal favorites. This is called Fluctuans variegated. This one that has this yellow edge. You can see I'm fond of those yellow edges.
Yes. And will it get quite large? I mean, it looks like it.
No, that's a plant that, you know, I planted that 6 years ago. It's still only got 3 or 4 eyes on it. Very, very slow to develop.
Okay.
You know, which, that's okay. I mean, just what's there is fine. You know?
Yeah.
This is Olive Bailey Langdon. That's named after a lady that is Hosta Hybridizer. That's a brand new plant. That's not available commercially yet.
Oh,
I bought that at an auction and paid a considerable amount of money for it. But I'm very proud of that plant, because this is something that has the genetics to actually produce other plants, and I'm planning on becoming a hosta judge here in the next few years. In order to do that, I have to produce my own plants, and name them. So,
great.
it's a long process.
Yes.
You don't do that in 1 year.
Yes.
But this
Gardening.
is going to be one of my plants that we'll be, using the seed from and stuff.
Yeah. Well, gardening isn't done in 1 year, as we all know.
No, we've changed these beds more than once.
Yeah.
It's just finding the right combinations and having fun. So.
Yeah, good. Looks very nice.
We'll head over here and I'll show you some others.
Yeah, great. Thank you. I can't believe the size of those leaves, Gary.
Yeah, this is called sum and substance. This has been bred, for these large leaves. This is the biggest leaf you can get on a hosta right here. And the plant itself is going to be large also, probably, well, definitely belt high and probably about 3 foot across. Yeah. But slow growing, slow to develop, but monstrously huge leaves. And right in front of it here is one this is called Clausa. It's a stoloniferous. It grows like grass, and then it has little fingers that go underneath the ground and come up. So it's just clumped itself out. I put 3 or 4 in there, and it's just grown off into this big clump. So.
Nice border plant, don't you think?
Yeah. I mean, it's been great in here. It's helped choke out the weeds, and the deep green is good, glossy.
And then the blossoms are then white.
Yeah, this is a light lavender.
Oh, okay.
Light lavender color. No fragrance, unfortunately, but still a good edging plant.
Is there an idea or a movement to make hostas with bigger flowers? Do you know?
Yeah, I can show you a plant over here in the other part of the yard that's called Aphrodite. It's a white and it's a double. There's a double flower on it, and they're big and they're nice.
Yeah,
it's in a fragrant family called Plantagenea.
Right. That was always one thing that I miss about hostas is the blossoms.
Yeah. Well, people are working on them all the time.
Sure.
That'll be the next thing. Is they want
huge blossoms.
They want to have big blossoms, and they want them to be pink. That's what everybody wants. They want a pink hosta.
Pink hosta.
The first pink flowered hosta on the market. That person's never going to have to work a day in their life again.
Well, there you go, Gary.
So maybe that's in my future.
Yes. Very good.
Well, let's go over and take a look at one out here in the sun.
Great. Yeah.
So, I wanted to show you this one hosta real quick that's in the sun out here. This is called Invincible. And I don't know if it comes through in the camera or not, but the leaves are very thick. So this heavily textured leaf, very thick leaf, means that it can take the sun better and the wind better. This was put in without the benefit of any type of soil amendments or anything. Right here, we just stuck it in the ground, and it's prolific. It's growing hugely fast. And it gets pretty much full sun, and it will stand. You can plant it in bad soil out in the full sun, it'll have this deep glossy green leaf.
Fantastic.
Very new one that's very good for tougher spots.
Gary, it feels different.
Yeah, it has that.
It looks very smooth, but when you feel it, it's not that smooth. It has a little fuzzy feeling to it. Neat. So can you give us the name again?
That's called Invincible.
Invincible.
I think it's aptly named.
Yeah, easy to remember. What do we have here, Gary?
Okay, this blue that's right underneath the lilac here this is a true Tokudama hosta. This is one of the Japanese types that we were talking about. Much hybridized, but those clumps are very old. They've been there for many years, and it's one of the smaller types, but very, very good blue. That blue stays on throughout the season, and it has a heart-shaped leaf, which is always nice.
Yeah, very pretty.
Right next to that, Northern Exposure, one of the new Sieboldianas that has, of course, this really heavily variegated leaf to it. Now, as you can see, we're out in a sunnier portion of the yard, and this is looking good.
It is. So, it's fantastic.
I mean, it has some ability to keep from burning in the sun.
Yeah.
And if you'll notice, some of the leaves have a yellow cast and some have a white cast.
Yes.
So that makes it even more, exciting.
Yeah. Great.
It's going to be big too. It's just only a couple years old, so It's going to be a big hosta.
Yeah.
Right next to the king of the big hostas. This baby right here is nigrescens. This is a big hosta. It doesn't have the biggest leaf, but this plant, you know, at Russ O'Hara's garden in Des Moines, he has one of these, and the plant is this high.
You're kidding.
The flowerscapes are above that, and it's as big around as a like an 8-foot kitchen table.
Wow.
You know, it's just this tremendously huge hosta, which I love. I love going in his yard and looking at that. Although he just passed away, but
yeah,
that's going to be big, you know. And I put it right underneath this big old sugar maple, so that it can just stay here now forever. And, you know, that it's eventually going to be this high. Yeah.
Also, again, a neat focal point you're creating there. When people or when you will come out, this is what you will see.
Yeah. It sort of juts out right here. You can place things and cause those, you know, just sort of break up the yard into rooms and things.
Yeah.
There's
neat.
Like a piece of furniture here in
right.
the outdoor room. So.
Yeah, neat.
So. And if we go over here, I'll show you a couple more.
Good, thank you. Boy, Gary, this goes on and on and on. This is so neat.
Yeah, I'll just quickly point out some of these last ones, which are, you know, I think have some qualities about them that are interesting. There's a couple of breeding type hostas we have here. The first one, the small one, is called Janet. You can see that the streaking comes up the petiole and it's on the leaf.
Yeah.
See how those leaves have different looks to them?
Yeah.
So
neat.
that's a hybridizer's hosta, you know,
yeah.
because of that variation.
Yeah.
Behind it is William Lockman, another one that you'll notice that each leaf is different. You know, that's a breeder type hosta. Right next to that is King Tut, which I'm really fond of. This big one in the back here. That plant was produced by Gretchen Harshbarger, which is the lady that the Hosta Society was named after. That's one of her creations. And Silver Crown right next to it, that big plant right there, that's like Antioch, or Silver Crown is another name for it. That's, of course, is just something that, you know, if you want to splash in your garden, that's a good plant.
That's the way to go.
It's available in any nursery in Iowa, and it's it's a tremendous plant. Down just past that rock there, you'll see that blue called Halcyon. And I wanted to point that out because that has a purple blossom on it. A lot of people don't realize that purple is one of the colors available. You know, and it's got that blue holds throughout the season.
Nice.
You know, so that's a great plant. And just a couple more over here. This is Daybreak. This yellow that's right here in the beginning of the border, and then right next to it, Taffeta. This Daybreak, this clear yellow, stays that color throughout the season. You know, so it really has that bright, cheery, you know, daybreak kind of feeling. And Taffeta, that's probably one of Jerry and mine's favorite because, you know, that deep, glossy green is just, it's that way all the time, all the time.
Yeah.
And it's such a neat, attractive little clump, you know. We don't do a thing to that.
Perfect shape.
It's just
really
a nice little clump. This is sort of my big bed. I have a lot of big guys in here. But,
neat.
You know, but that's, you know, the beginnings of the number of things. We actually have over 100 varieties in the yard, so it's kind of hard to see them all at one time. But you know, when we're open for business, people can, you know, stop out and take a walk through the gardens if they want. I've always, you know, let people just kind of stroll through. And, you know,
I think that's important, Gary, because then some people, sometimes it's hard to visualize what to do, and this will give them an idea on what a nice service you provide for your clients and customers. So come on out. And I have to tell you something. It's a little bit different to get out to Gary's landscaper business now, and I let you explain which route to take to get to you, because Libertyville Road is closed.
That's right. Yeah, you need to come another half mile south to 227th Street, and then make a right turn, and it's still just 2 miles down the gravel to our place here.
Yeah, it's very easy to find. I even found it. So you just go straight and then turn left on Kale Avenue, and you already can see the buildings from far away. So come on out. And
this is in the middle of a cornfield.
That's right. This is really a treat. And again, let me thank you very much for, I know you're very busy and you have to take this time out to talk with us and kind of educate us about hostas. And I have to tell you, I'm very excited about hostas. So we're looking forward having maybe a Gall's hybrid one of these years. And we'll come back and show them to you. Thank you, Gary.